my
Okay,
nickname
here,
or my
no.
full name?
Well, okay, it's Saturday, September, what is this, 19th?
19th, 2009.
2009. So, could you please state your name and
My name is Thomas Young.
and when were you born?
July the 4th, 1936. You got
Okay.
the picture okay?
Yeah,
July
yeah, the
4th,
picture's great. Okay.
1936.
I'm gonna switch to you. What's your name?
Francois Thompson,
And you were born what?
3/12/38.
Okay, now I'm gonna get a pan of like both of y'all. The first question is, talk about you guys have obviously known each other a long time because Francois is married to Tommy's sister. Talk about the first time you guys met.
I met him through, how would you say it, company situation where, you know, going to her house.
Okay. 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 And so I think you said, Francois, that you met Marie how now?
I met Marie
Riding public
in high
transportation.
school, riding transportation home from school,
Okay.
after high school.
Okay. Now, of course, Tommy's got an advantage in that he knew Marie early. So give us some of your memories of Marie from your childhood, Tommy.
Marie was always friendly and outgoing. Marie would get on the bus or the streetcar, because both of them were running at one time. She would get on the bus towards the end and she would start, and it seemed like she would speak to everybody on the bus. She was that outgoing. And she just liked to meet people. And she would talk to any and everybody all the time.
A real people person, huh?
Yeah. And she was well liked. I never heard anybody to say they disliked their mother. What about you? You ever heard anybody say they disliked her? She would always try to help any and everybody, always friendly and outgoing. Did whatever she could for anybody.
Okay. The next question is, both of you grew up in the 1950s. You all are probably the only people here that grew up in the 1950s. So think for a minute. I'm gonna ask Francois first. Tell us something about what it was like growing up in the 1950s.
Well, you still had segregation, and even if you didn't have it, it was still kind of rough. I mean, where I lived at, it was like a mixed neighborhood, although the white people was moving out at the time.
Italians was moving out.
Yeah, they were moving out at the time, but there was still some who conjugated with you that was friendly. You know, and although their parents or something might not have liked it, but you know, and that include females and males. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, in their teens. And they were friendly. So you know, I mean, we played Monopoly together, checkers together, chess together,
I'm like videotaping.
chess together.
Who played?
I'm
You
talking
and
about
who?
the white guys,
Okay. Okay.
and everything. We played together and everything, and still. Like if you go to movies, you couldn't take them to movies or nothing because the movies were still like segregated.
Okay.
You know.
But I just want to add to that. See, a lot
The
of
only
them.
thing that wasn't segregated was the Catholic Church.
But listen, although what he's saying I agree with, a lot of those people, if you weren't Afro-American or black, you were considered to be white. But a lot of those Italians and foreigners, they weren't considered first-class citizens no more than what we were, and they didn't show the prejudice. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of that area where up Georgia Avenue and all that stuff was places like the Jews, the Giant, the first Giant was up there off of Park Road. And so those people, they weren't all that anti-black. The only people who was really anti-black was the white Southerners.
But see, now that's something that he keep using the word black. They would
Hey, guys,
they would not.
Sebastian.
They did not want to call you black back then.
Who?
Black was against the rules.
Yeah.
You call somebody black.
Y'all were called colored?
Huh?
What did y'all call
Negro,
each other?
Negro,
Everybody's.
most of the time,
Mostly
Negro.
What was the difference
Man,
between
if a
Negro and colored?
Negro,
Was there any
Negro.
difference?
We
No.
were at their convenience. If they wanted to
Yeah.
call us colored, they call us
I
colored.
said, what did you call yourself?
Oh, we call ourselves Negro.
Negroes?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Black
I always
wasn't
thought-
even listed.
No.
I always
And
thought.
African American wasn't even listed
Black was a
back then.
dirty word. You call another Negro black, and they were ready.
I know that, but
Ready to fight.
I actually thought that y'all use the term colored. But you saying actually.
See, it depends on the person who you talk to.
Yeah.
Really. They can call you colored, but Negroes is probably what we more or less call ourselves.
Really?
You know.
Listen, years ago, Tony, if you walked up to an African and said you were African American, they said, "Oh, you're not African." No.
Because see, my theory was like this. What about the Africans that came over here driving cabs and everything, took our citizenship? What do you call them? They African Americans. They African American.
They are the African
I ain't
American.
been
Yeah.
in no Africa. You gonna call me an African American?
Yeah.
You know?
In other words, we have gone into 4 different classifications.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
suit other people's whims. In other words, they've called us Negroes, black, African Americans,
Colored.
and colored. Any of those 4 is what they referred to us when they wanted to refer to us. That was a colored boy. That was a Negro
In fact,
boy.
there was a thing on TV. This guy was a Navy pilot, and they called him African American right on TV. He said, "I might be a pilot and I fly all over the world, but I still ain't flew in no Africa."
Also, different. Give me your impressions of Barack Obama and what it's like having this.
Well,
Black
Barack
president.
Obama
Man
is-
said history. Period. Point blank.
Yeah.
And a whole lot of people, even his own people like Jesse Jackson, tried to down him
Yeah.
because he couldn't go as far as Obama did. And I mean, this is history being made. That's why you see him in all the magazines everywhere. You know, I mean, this is history that's unbelievable.
What about personally though? I mean,
What he
like.
did couldn't be done in those days.
Right.
There was no such thing as a black man trying to head a political party.
Even
That was a no.
Right.
But listen,
Yeah, you couldn't succeed because you couldn't be on the ticket. There
Right.
were no black nothings after the Reconstruction period, no kind of way.
What do you think about how white people feel about him? Do you think white people accept him?
I think
As president?
I really think you got a 50-50 proposition. Because even during all his campaigning, there was a whole lot of white people that was, I mean, they were for him, period and point blank.
Right.
See, now I mean, you got the Ku Klux Klan and all them, and all these rednecks and all, they probably was against him, but they
still
couldn't do
against
nothing about it. Yeah, they still against it, but they couldn't do nothing about it because he took the nomination hands down.
Yeah.
Hey guys, go down for a little bit. Go ahead.
He also
Go
was
down.
involved
Go
in
down.
some things that nobody else could have done. For example, in Florida, a lot of the Jewish people that lived there, their grandchildren went and told their grandmothers and grandfathers that they didn't vote for Obama, that they wouldn't come to see him anymore.
Forget it. I know.
Really?
Right, forget it.
Those type
Really?
of things wouldn't happen 20 years ago. 20 years ago,
But his campaign was so strong till it was
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
when I was coming through, if somebody told you that you were going to be an FBI agent, they would laugh you out of the ballpark. There was no such things as black in any government official capacity.
And you know, they still tried to down him because they saying that he wasn't American. He was born in Hawaii somewhere. But you know, what's Hawaii if that ain't American?
But not only that, the bottom line is this: if you're an American and you overseas and your wife is traveling with you, if she have a baby, although you might not be born in the United States, you are a United States citizen. Because that's where your parents are from.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so It was
Okay.
the difference between. See, it was 5 high schools in all of Washington D.C. that the blacks went to when I was going to high school. And it didn't matter where you lived in Washington D.C. because you didn't live all over, but you went to the 3 schools in the First and Old Carter. You went to either Martha Washington in the Unit Block of Old, Dunbar High School, First and Old, or Armstrong High School in the 100 block of Old, and they had Cardozo and Phelps. Those were the 5 high schools we had. All blacks in Washington D.C. went to those 5 high schools.
Oh, really?
That's why most of us knew one another.
In the 50s, you mean?
In the 50s, yeah. Rhode Island, 801 Rhode Island Avenue.
You all
there now.
conjugated all your sports and everything. You played among each other.
Yeah.
You know.
Everything
So everything was done between, like you said, those 5 schools.
And if
Yeah.
you
You know.
had a program, say you sang down by Woody's on some kind of Christmas program, see, you sang there, and then you had to go somewhere way out of the way to get a sandwich or something for breakfast because they wouldn't allow you to eat nothing. You couldn't sit down nowhere.
In fact, I was on the darn tennis team for Armstrong. I was the captain of the tennis team, and we went to Baltimore along with the football team and all to play tennis. But that was a Negro school or whatever you want to call it
Right.
in Baltimore that we played. You know?
Right.
Yeah, you didn't play.
You played
against-
tennis team on what, junior and a senior year?
Yeah, I was the captain of Armstrong's tennis team.
When you were a senior?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
But they didn't allow no mixing of the races. Period. They even had everything was Division I and Division II. Anything that said Division I was all white. Anything with Division II was all black. And the only thing that was in Division II was black people, because in Division I they had Chinese and Japanese and
Yeah.
any
Let me-
everybody, but they didn't have no
You know
blacks.
what? I'm gonna wrap up. Let me wrap up with one question, and you can think about it for a minute. What's the biggest difference between either things or black people now as opposed to the 50s? In other words, 50 years later now, what do you think is the?
Man, you got a big change now.
But I mean, what
Now
what
you can-
really strikes you? You know what I'm
What
saying?
really strikes you is you can be whatever you want to be. In those
Right.
days, you were what you were told to be.
Okay.
You wouldn't say that.
So you would say freedom, like actually,
Yeah,
baby.
in other words,
You would
you-
say opportunity.
Yeah, you got
Yeah.
more freedom.
You-
Opportunity,
can-
freedom.
Yeah, in other words, you couldn't.
In other words, this is just an example. I was looking again at one of these wing pictures, and you know how aircraft carriers, that's the only carrier I've seen that the United States had. And you know the people that catch these aircrafts coming in, these fighters and everything.
Yeah.
Down there on a computer was a Negro working that computer to catch these wires, transferring the wires. To me, that showed them that what you knew is how far you was going in this country. It's not race, color, religion, or nothing. But I will say this though. I'm going to say this, and this is out of my heart. Certain religions will not allow you in certain jobs. Because I'm going to tell you, I mean, I hate to say it, but like in the government, if they find out you in certain religions, I don't care how much you know. When that job goes up on that board, you don't get it.
No.
Really?
They had so many prejudices then it wasn't funny.
Yeah, but I ain't talking about then.
He's
I'm
talking about now. Yeah.
I'm talking about right now. If you're in a certain religion, you can't come into that job.
Okay.
Yeah, things were
Because I
highly-
think it's going to be too much controversy when people start talking. You understand?
Yeah.
So that's now. That's now.
Yeah,
Now
okay.
in private business, I don't know how.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
in the government, I could hire and fire, and I know who it was. Man, a chick come in there, boy, and she was fabulous and all.
Oh, yeah, she got a big
We
time
can't
job.
hire her, man. She gonna draw too much attention. I ain't telling no lies, boy.
Yeah.
It'd be too much, no work being done. You know what I mean?
On that, I'm gonna start. Well, thank you.